Hello everyone, good evening. So, how are you all doing? Are you all doing great, taking care and studying really well? Yes, all right. So, we are back with a new session of Kerala Set exam. Kerala Set exam is also around the corner, right? Yes, we are live now. Let me open the chat box really quick so that I can see what you all are saying. Okay. Yes, good evening, good evening. Chalo. So let's get started with our session then, yeah? Let me start by sharing my screen with you all so that you can see the screen. Is the screen visible to you? Yeah, it is, right? Yeah. Okay. So good evening, everyone, and welcome again to our Kerala Set revision session number 2. Chalo. Let's get started. Here is the first question for tonight. Which classical metrical form governs Homer's Iliad, Hesiod's Works and Days, and Virgil's Aeneid? And what structural function does it serve in oral, formulaic, epic tradition? If you know which meter is used in epics, you can answer this easily. Tell me, which meter has been used in these epics? And what purpose do they serve? And what purpose is served by this meter? Easy question. Which classical metrical form governs Homer's Iliad, Hesiod's Works and Days, and Virgil's epic Aeneid? And what structural function does it serve in oral, formulaic, epic tradition? So, the meter which has been used here is dactylic hexameter, and it provides a standardized mnemonic rhythmic template which is essential for oral composition and recitation. All right, option B is correct. Next. Horace's critical maxim, utile dulci, or profit and delight, from Ars Poetica, fundamentally revises which earlier classical philosophical stance on the pragmatic utility of art? A question from Horace's Ars Poetica. So Horace's idea that poetry provides both instruction and delight. It revises Plato's total moral censure of poetry as a thrice removed mimesis that feeds irrational appetites. Plato in Republic has widely discussed this issue, where he has stated that poetry is thrice removed from reality. It's a copy of copy of copy. And he also believed that poetry, it incites irrational passions in men. Right. So this claim of Plato was modified, or it was revised by Horace in Ars Poetica, when he says that art or poetry, it does not only delight people, it also instructs people. All right. So it is option B. Okay. Next. John Gower, Chaucer's contemporary, wrote a massive literary output in 3 different languages, reflecting the multilingual elite culture of 14th century England. Match his major works correctly to their respective languages. So we all know the very popular contemporary of Chaucer called John Gower. Now, John Gower has written his works in languages more than one. Right. So here you have to match that which work of Gower is in which language. Which work of John Gower is in which language? Gower's Mirror de l'Homme. It's in French. Vox Clementis is in Latin. And his Confessio Amantis is in English. All right. John Gower's Mirror de l'Homme, it's in French. Vox Clementis is in Latin. And Confessio Amantis is in English. All right. So here you had to match which work of John Gower is in which language. Confessio Amantis is in English. Vox Clementis is in Latin and Mirror de l'Homme is in French. Great. Next. Here you have to arrange the following words in the correct chronological order. First, you have Total's Miscellany, then Sir Thomas More's Utopia, then Sir Thomas Eliot's the book named The Governor, and lastly, you have William Tyndale's English translation of the New Testament. You have to arrange these works in the correct chronological order. So it will be which option? 2431. So Thomas More's Utopia, then William Tyndale's English translation of the New Testament, then Thomas Eliot's the book named The Governor, and lastly Total's Miscellany. Right? Thomas More's Utopia was published in 1516. Thomas More's Utopia was published in 1516. William Tyndale's New English translation of the New Testament. William Tyndale's English translation of the New Testament was printed and published in 1526. Thomas Eliot, the book named The Governor, was published in 1531. 1531. And lastly, Total's Miscellany, the first anthology in English, was published in 1557. All right. So, Sir Thomas More's Utopia 1516, William Tyndale's English translation of New Testament 1526, Thomas Eliot's the book named The Governor 1531, and Total's Miscellany 1557. 1557. Okay. All right. Which John Webster tragedy features the chilling line, "Cover her face, mine eyes dazzle. She died young," spoken by the character Ferdinand. So this line is from which play? Of John Webster. As you all know, that John Webster was a major tragedian of the Jacobean period. And he is very famous for his revenge tragedies or blood tragedies, right? He is very famous for his revenge tragedies or blood tragedies. This line is from which play? "Cover her face, mine eyes dazzle." It's a line from which revenge tragedy of Webster? It is from The Duchess of Malfi. The Duchess of Malfi. All right? The Duchess of Malfi. As you all know, three subgenres were very popular during the Jacobean period. Revenge tragedy, city comedy, and tragicomedy. And John Webster is very famous for two of his revenge tragedies, The White Devil and The Duchess of Malfi. All right. Okay. In Ben Jonson's satiric masterwork, Volpone, what are the names of the three greedy legacy hunters, the vulture, the raven, and the crow, who attempt to bribe Volpone with lavish gifts in hope of inheriting his fortune? It's a beast fable, right? It's a beast fable. So which three characters are there who resemble a vulture, a raven, and a crow? Am I guys not audible to you? Why are you not answering at all? There is no answer, nothing. Why? It is Corvino, Corbaccio, and Voltore. Corvino, Corbaccio, and Voltore. They are the three greedy legacy hunters who attempt to bribe Volpone with lavish gifts in hope of inheriting his fortune in the comedy of humors Volpone by Ben Jonson. Volpone by Ben Jonson. All right. The questions are very easy. Why are you not answering? Next. So Vallath presents to you Communication and Confidence Mentorship Program. It's for those who still find it very difficult to express themselves in English, who find it very difficult to articulate their thoughts properly. So when you have got the thought, but you have lost the words. So if you hesitate, go blank, or struggle to express yourself, you need the right kind of practice. So this communication and confidence mentorship is a 1:1 program, which will help you to speak fluently through guided practice. So it's a 1:1 mentorship program with flexible timings. In this mentorship program, you will be given one mentor who will teach you 1:1. So if you want this mentorship, you can contact us. Okay, all right, good. Next, in John Milton's Areopagitica, 1644, which specific historical event or decree does Milton fiercely critique as an instrument of suppression, which is reminiscent of antiquated and Parisian despotism? Am I not audible to you all? Can you guys hear me? Please say something in the chat box. Otherwise, I have to inform my team or have to maybe end the live if there is some technical glitch. So in John Milton's Areopagitica, published in 1644, which specific historical event or decree does Milton fiercely critique as an instrument of suppression, which is reminiscent of antiquated and Parisian despotism? Here, Milton critiques the licensing order of 1643 passed by the Long Parliament. The licensing order of 1643 passed by the Long Parliament. So against this licensing order of 1643, Milton wrote Areopagitica. It's a treatise which defended the freedom of the press. It's a treatise which defended the freedom of the press. Areopagitica by Milton, published in 1644. All right. Next. In Andrew Marvell's and Horatian Ode upon Cromwell's return from Ireland, how does the speaker characterize the execution of King Charles I? In Andrew Marvell's and Horatian Ode upon Cromwell's return from Ireland, how does the speaker characterize the execution of King Charles I? As a tragic necessity performed with complaining sides and a royal decorum on the scaffold. He does sympathize with the dead monarch, but he says that it was a necessity. Okay, Andrew Marvell. All right, next. In John Dryden's An Essay of Dramatic Poesy, which character represents Dryden's own mature views on the superiority of the English drama over French neoclassical constraints and the utility of rhyme in tragedy? So, which character in Dryden's An Essay of Dramatic Poesy represents Dryden himself? Why are you guys not answering the questions? Because the questions are very easy and the exam is around the corner, so all of you are prepared by now. So why there is no answer at all? 9 people are watching and not even one person is answering. In Dryden's An Essay of Dramatic Poesy, Neander represents Dryden himself. Neander represents Dryden himself. Next. Which specific subgenre of restoration drama, popularized by John Dryden, featured exotic settings, grand-scale conflicts between love and valor, and was heavily satirized by George Villiers in The Rehearsal? Easy question. Which specific subgenre of a restoration drama that was popularized by John Dryden features exotic settings, grand scale conflicts between love and valor? And this subgenre was heavily satirized or mocked by George Villiers in the play The Rehearsal. Which subgenre is it? It is heroic play. It is heroic play. I hope it's clear to you all. Okay. It is option B, heroic play. Next. Jonathan Swift's A Tale of a Tub satirizes the corruptions in religion and learning through the fictional wills left by a father to 3 brothers. What do Peter, Martin, and Jack specifically represent here in this religious allegory of Jonathan Swift called A Tale of a Tub? What do the 3 brothers represent here? Peter, Martin, and Jack. They stand for Roman Catholicism, the Church of England, and the dissenting Puritanism. Okay. All right. Next. Now, this is a very easy question. It is also a net PYQ, right? So tell me, which specific work by John Gay successfully introduced the ballad opera form, serving as a political satire targeting Sir Robert Walpole's Whig administration and Italian opera? Very easy, very easy. It is the easiest question of tonight. Which specific work by John Gay successfully introduced the ballad opera? And it also critiqued the Whig politician Robert Walpole. He was the father of Horace Walpole. It is the Beggar's Opera. It is the Beggar's Opera. Right. The Beggar's Opera. Next. Which specific line from William Wordsworth's Preface to Lyrical Ballads, 1800 edition, explicitly modifies his earlier 1798 definition regarding the origin of poetry? Where is the question? Tell me. It is that poetry takes its origin from emotions recollected in tranquility. Poetry takes its origin from emotions recollected in tranquility. All right. Correct. Option C. Next. It's a bit lengthy question, but it's a net PYQ as well and very important. In Coleridge's Biographia Literaria, how does he fundamentally differentiate imagination from fancy? In Coleridge's Biographia Literaria, how does he fundamentally differentiate imagination from fancy? What is the difference between imagination and fancy as per Coleridge? He says that imagination is coexistent with the conscious will, while fancy is entirely mechanical and aggregative. Right? If you remember this, it's easy, very easy. You must have done this question lots of times, right? That imagination is coexistent with the conscious will, while fancy is entirely mechanical and aggregative. Correct? It is option B. Okay. In the 1800 edition of Lyrical Ballads, Wordsworth added an appendix on a specific poetic concept. What was the core argument of this specific appendix? What was the core argument of this specific appendix? It is option C. It has an explicit critique of poetic diction and the artificial phraseology of preceding centuries. We know very well how Wordsworth was very much against the artificial diction of the neoclassical era. This appendix exactly talks about that, right? It carries his explicit critique of the artificial poetic diction of the neoclassical era. Because as we all know, he promoted the use of common language of man. He was against the artificial poetic diction of the neoclassical era. And that appendix exactly talks about that. All right, clear? Very good. So yes, if you want to join our communication and confidence mentorship, please do join us. It's a one-to-one mentorship program where you will be allotted a mentor who will teach you 1:1 with flexible timings and all. So you will receive personal care and guidance. Okay, great. So I think that's all. Yes, that's all for tonight from our side. I really hope you guys liked the session and enjoyed answering these questions. Great. So I will see you all again, I think, on Friday, because tomorrow there will be paper one session. Okay. So see you all again on Friday at 9:30 p.m. in a new session of revision for Kerala set. Do let me know in the comments if you like the questions. Okay. All right, then please take care. Keep studying. Bye.